I made it back with my parts from the machine shop, and there's all my boxes of small parts. Those tall boxes there are my cylinders. There's the gasket kit up in front and a couple of other boxes up there. I don't know what's in them yet. So we'll get this stuff unloaded in the shop and get ready to start organizing it. It's supposed to stop raining tomorrow. We can start putting it together then. I'm going through this stuff in the garage here, and these are my head bolts. Came out of these boxes here, and I was looking for the washers. They do not have washers on them, none of them. So I still got my coffee can full of head bolts here. I'm going to have to take them all out of there and get the washers off and wash them off. And I don't have to be washed off, but I'm going to anyway. I stick them in a carburetor dip basket or something and dunk them in some diesel. So I got to do that. I'm looking over my parts. This is my box that has the injectors in it underneath these cam caps. And this is the injector seals. And these are the cam bearings. The kit came with 2 new thermostats. I wasn't expecting that. All new pistons. I had the machine shop install the pistons for me and torque them down. And they checked the rods, and the one rod that was in number 5, they said that rod was bent and twisted a little bit, so they had another one from a used engine, a used rod that they said was good, and so they put that one in. I just hope the weight is all the same. They've installed all of that, and here's the rod bearings in these boxes. We'll be putting the rings on here in a little bit. And these are my liners. This liner box here comes with a package of rings. We're going to be putting the rings on here in a little bit. And a liner, and then the liner seals. So it's raining outside, so I'm going to put all these things together and get them ready to put in when it stops raining. I know these O-rings go on the pickup tube. One of these is going to go on the pressure relief valve that's on the pickup tube, and the other one goes on the other pressure relief valve that's just on the block. And this one here, I don't remember that one, so we'll find out where it goes, if it even goes. And here's my thrust washers that go on the mains. And these are my main inserts, so we'll be doing the mains. Raining today. We'll probably try to get to these tomorrow if I can get things dried up enough underneath the truck to start working on the mains. Got to get the mains out of the way first, and then we can start putting the cylinders in and the pistons. I'm going to put some rings on here, and I'm going to do it my way after I read the book. Someone else may not like the way I'm doing it, but the machine shop didn't give me much to worry about. I'll just do a combination of what the machine shop told me to do and what the book told me to do. But the book was 10 times more complicated and critical than what the machine shop said. I'm going to find something to set this on. I'd like to be able to do it in this position standing up, but I can't. These holes right here are called oil reliefs. And that's when piston goes down, oil that's on the cylinder that the oil ring is scraping off, it slides inside and goes inside these oil holes and goes right behind the oil ring and helps oil that. And when it goes up, it's going to push oil back out of these going down or something like that. I'm not really completely sure on exactly what they're there for. But anyway, this is what they call the expander ring. It's got a wire inside of it. I didn't know about that. It's different than the ones that it had that I took out of there. Anyway, the expander ring goes on. The oil ring is the first one. It goes on there. Close that gap completely. expander. Not in the habit of doing this, so there. Got it closed now. And then the oil ring, of course, is the big hollow one, and you have to look for a mark on the side of it. And I don't think the oil ring has any up and down mark on the side, but you have to look for that. And then you want the gap, which is right here, to the expander. You want that opposite of the gap of the oil ring. So to ensure that, we're just going to flip this over, make it easier than sliding it around. And I don't have a ring expander, but I've got a snap ring pliers that I bought when I used to do my own automatic transmissions a long time ago. And it works taking the rings off of the old pistons. You got to be careful that you don't open that ring up any more than absolutely necessary, because the rings will break. If you open them up too much. You got to make sure that that went on there all the way around like it's supposed to. I guess as long as we can push it down inside the groove all the way around, then it should be there. So there's our oil ring. Doesn't want to compress very good. Hope it's in there right. We'll dunk the thing in oil before we put the ring compressor on it. Now these rings here, we're going to flip back over. These need to be 180. The gap on the oil ring expander, the gap on the oil ring expander, and the gap on the outer part of the oil ring needs to be 180 apart. When you install it, it may not stay that way. Not a big deal. But the man at the machine shop told me, just put these a little bit to this angle over here, and then put my compression rings at this angle over here at a 90-degree angle to those. This second ring is the bigger groove, and this does have an up and a down side to it. And I'm looking for it and I don't see the mark on here. Yes, I do. Right here. Right here it says up. So that side goes up. Now these rings are easy to slide around, so we'll just stick them on there and move them around where they need to go once they're on. Once again, you got to be careful that you don't expand that too much. pliers doesn't quite expand that far. The handle's closed before I get there. I got it in there. It took me a while, and I had to cheat a little bit with a tiny screwdriver. It's the wrong way to do it. You do that, you got to be careful you don't scratch finish on this. But this one here also has a side that says up, and so that's going to go on this way. This one should go on easier. Yeah, now these just spin around, so we'll just stick them where they need to go. Besides, when we get oil in it, we got to spin them around anyway. And the machine shop painted a spot on the front of these pistons so that the way he's got them installed, according to the way the rod is, this little V-shaped mark on here is pointing towards this direction, and it's supposed to be pointing like towards the driver's side of the motor, towards the camshaft side of the motor. So you got to make sure that when you install it, if you're going to be standing on the driver's side, you got to make sure that it's going to be in that position. And it's a good idea to have, he painted a mark on here with some metal paint. Well, that's okay. We'll just leave it on there. And he also drew number 6 on here with a pen. You can see is the number there. You got number 6 on there. So I'll try to make sure I leave that number 6 on there. And if nothing else, here on the side, not on that side, but on this side, we got number 6. We got number 6 right there on both sides, the rod and the cap. And the locking tabs go on the same side together. Locking tabs go on the same side together, and if you got numbers stamped on them, they go there too. So there's a number of different things on there to tell you which way to go. Now, me doing a total rebuild with new cylinders and new pistons and new inserts and everything, it doesn't really matter which hole they go in. The engine's going to run fine. But if someone rebuilds it again or does a partial rebuild again, they need to know which hole they came out of so they can put them back in the right hole. So that's why those numbers need to go where they need to go. It's only for the second. If it gets another rebuild, a third one. By the way, these are 2-piece pistons. And they slide left and right in there. See that? Those pins are bolted to the rod. They slide left and right like that. So the rod's kind of more or less attached to the top part, more so than it is to the bottom part. This is the last one, and I'm going to cheat on it because it's too much trouble to do it without the right tools. I don't have a ring compressor, and so I'm going to cheat and do this like I did most of the other ones that I just got done with. This oil ring works pretty smooth anyway. It's not that stiff. But I've still got to flip this over to get this part of it inside the outer part of the oil ring. Get that expander, as they call it, inside the outer part. Okay, it's in there. Now this thick one, the second one, that's the hard one. And this is still tricky to do, just to get it on there started. Don't tell anyone you saw me do it like this. But these are steel pistons, or cast iron, or whatever they call them. Oh, I did goof. I got that. I got that in the first ring. I didn't want that in that first ring groove. See if we can get that back out of there. There, I got it out. So if that does leave just the slightest little scratch on there, which it does, and then when I wipe it I don't see it anymore, so it's just on the oil. If they were aluminum it would gouge it a little more, but I don't think it would hurt anything. Just for time's sake, we're speeding this up. This top ring is thinner, it goes on fast and easy, so we just wind it on like so. It's on there. It's against the rules. I seriously doubt any machine shops are using all the right tools the way the book says. No scratches. It's steel anyway, so if there was a scratch it would be super fine and wouldn't hurt anything. Well, we're done with that part of it. I'm going to go ahead and put some inserts in this just to get one more little short video up for tonight. And that way tomorrow we can start on the lower end outside. Nothing fancy, just the one with the oil hole in it has to match up with the oil hole. Doesn't have to match up with this part of the hole necessarily, because the oil hole is down here. It's going to match up right along in here, but that's okay. This is drilled out, so it'll pass through there and go up to the top. That oil goes up to the top so that it can come out and spray up in here into the piston, and to cool that and lubricate it. So we just got to put, I'll snap the bottom one in first because that's easier to show. This one is just going to snap in here, line up that groove. It's kind of self-explanatory. Push it in there. Now I used to just tap these on the edge of the block, but I don't have a block handy to do that on. I used to just, you know, like this. I suppose I could just push it on this table. Push it in there tight like that. And as long as you feel a little bit of it on both sides, and you're okay. Push this one in the same way. And then when I put this in, I'm going to wrap a piece of tape around that, piece of duct tape around this. I could find some pieces of maybe 1/2 inch hose, rubber hose, and cut off little pieces and put them on there or something, but I'll probably just use the duct tape. And then these little keyway that's right here needs to match up with that side over here when they go in. But we'll just stick them on here temporary. And we'll do another section when we put the liners in, and we'll put a piston in and show how to do it then. Well, that'll be it for tonight.